everyone, Kareem Ray here, founder and CEO at One Soccer Nation. Very excited to have our first interview with Ira Jersey. He's based out of Jersey. Can you please introduce yourself to our viewers?
Yeah, I'm Ira Jersey. I'm the founder and co-owner of Real Central New Jersey Soccer. We play in USL League Two, as well as the Women's Premier Soccer League. We also have some men's full-year programs playing in high-level amateur soccer.
Nice. So, why did you start the club? What was the inspiration to start a soccer club in Jersey?
Yeah, so when you think about New Jersey and you think about all the great players who come out of New Jersey and who played at Princeton or Rutgers and played on the U.S. national team or play in Major League Soccer today or play in the NWSL, we looked at a map and said, where could soccer players play while they're at home during the summer in Central Jersey? And the answer was nowhere within an hour of where we live. That's myself and my partners. So we decided to look at starting these summer league teams, and we saw that there was significant demand from players, and we thought that it would be a great community resource because we're an hour from Red Bull Arena, we're an hour from where the Philadelphia Union play, so we thought it would be a great central location for people to enjoy high-level, high-quality soccer during those summer months.
Absolutely. Do you have a soccer background as well, or?
Since he just passed, I have to say I saw Pele play in the 1970s. So he was one of the reasons why maybe I fell in love with soccer. He just did things with the soccer ball that no one else did. I've been playing soccer since 1976. So it's been quite a long time. I played, I still play today. I'm playing in over 40 league today. I've been a referee since the mid 1980s. So yeah, soccer has just been part of my life forever. Not necessarily as a professional at the professional level ever, but certainly when it comes to both playing, watching. I had season tickets to the Metro Stars back when MLS first started. So, I've been very involved with the sport for quite a long time.
Amazing. What do you look to, what are your future plans for the club?
Yeah, so in November of 2022, we signed an expansion agreement with the United Soccer Leagues to bring professional soccer to Central Jersey. Central Jersey being defined as New Brunswick, where Rutgers is, down through Princeton and Trenton. So somewhere in that corridor, we're looking to play and have stadium in that area for both a men's USL League One team and then a women's Super League team to bring professional soccer to the area. Something a bit more affordable than Major League Soccer. And also kind of fill this gap because New Jersey is a soccer state, and like I mentioned before, all of the great people who have come out of New Jersey, the great soccer clubs that are there, including a couple of our partners like MatchFit and Next Level Soccer, we just grow players in New Jersey, and there was this gap in the middle of New Jersey where down near Philly you had plenty of people could go support the Union. Up in near New York you could have people support the Red Bulls, but right where we are, we think that there's a good niche there for 3,000 to 5,000 people to come and watch our games.
Absolutely, and soccer brings people together, right? It's for the community. I've been to New Jersey myself. I think the area was Newark, I think the city. There's a lot of buildings and there's not a lot of greenery. So, can you talk a little bit about stadiums? Are there existing stadiums, and how do you guys plan about going about the stadium? Are you guys looking to get into a stadium and then build your own, or can you just share a little bit about that, please?
Yeah. So we're looking into a number of different options. I mean, one option is at a university where we would help them upgrade their stadium in order to fit the needs of our USL professional teams, and it will also help the university and the town where they are. So we've met with the township, and the township's very interested in us coming and becoming a professional franchise, kind of to put that town that we're talking about on the map. I'm not at liberty to say who or where that is, but it is in our franchise area. So in Central Jersey, a lot of the path to a stadium is very important, right? Because that's your home, that's where you want to live, that's where your players are going to spend a lot of their time, and you hope that a lot of fans will spend a lot of their time there. And with a men's and women's team, we're talking about 30 league matches a year. So we're talking about just about every week having a game during the season. So it can be very exciting. And that was initially our single biggest hurdle, was finding a route to a stadium. Now we have a route to a stadium. Now the next challenge is finding a route to finding an owner, because unfortunately none of my partners or I have the minimum requirement that U.S. U.S. Soccer Federation requires for a primary owner.
Got it. How do you guys plan on getting this major investor to come in and invest the project, and how are you guys going about pitching it?
Yeah, so literally, I started this just right around Christmas week. I spent a lot of that week, besides our USL 2 tryouts, I was dealing with, reaching out to investors. So family offices, basically people who have been very successful in their lives. Hopefully they have a passion for soccer, similar to what we have. And it's kind of, telling them our story, saying, hey, we want to make sure that we can, bring soccer as a community asset to Central New Jersey. And, we hope that you'll come and join us and do it. Because, between all the pharmaceutical companies and all of the tech companies that have come out of New Jersey, we think that there's a large enough base of people that, we need one of them basically to be able to come and be our primary owner. And for in our situation, we're almost turnkey, where we have 90% of the planning done to be able to start play in a couple of years, but we just need to kind of finalize our ownership group. And what's been amazing, even since we made our announcement, there's been so many people who have been interested in investing, but they're all would be minority investors, which none of them meet the minimum requirement that U.S. Soccer requires. But we could have a very diverse ownership group, men, women, a lot of different ethnicities. So we're talking about really a melting pot of people that want to be involved in this project.
Absolutely. I don't mean to get too technical here, but how are you guys, what type of structure are you guys going about raising the capital?
Yeah, so it's quite frankly a lot of phone calls and emails. That's how we've started, and it's only been 2 weeks basically from yesterday that I started the process. So it is going to be very grassroots. I mean, it almost has to be, right? So and it's talking to other people like financial advisors and some other high net worth asset managers who might have a client that is interested. So you wind up talking to someone who manages money for someone with $1 billion, and that person might go to that person who has $1 billion and say, hey, would you be interested in putting $4 or $5 million of your net worth toward this project? And if nothing else, it's something that really can bring people together. And when we have in our men's teams, you just look at our teams. We have immigrants from Haiti. We have immigrants from Liberia. We have people who were born in Central Jersey. We have people who've emigrated to Central Jersey. People who moved from Florida to Central Jersey, and all of them play on our men's teams. And I'd like to think that we would create a team that would basically show the identity of what New Jersey is, and we will be Jersey's team. So we're not going to be beholden to the New York media market. We're not going to be in Chester, Pennsylvania, where the Philadelphia Union play, but we are going to be Jersey's team, and that's really our goal to really embrace and be uniquely Jersey.
Yeah, I think I love that, and I think that's very important, especially for the community, to identify with who New Jersey's soccer team is. But there's also New Jersey Teamster. I'm not too sure if they're still around in NISA. If you don't mind me asking this question, would that be seen as a competitor, or would it be seen as a partner?
So the Teamsters are in North Jersey. So if you think about New Jersey, there's basically, I would say, 4 regions. So there's North Jersey. That's kind of where the Teamsters are, and you have some really great clubs up there because you have Vistula, you have Hoboken FC, which is one of the oldest clubs in the country, plus the Red Bulls and Gotham FC play up there in the professional ranks. And then when you look at South Jersey, you're talking about Cherry Hill, kind of the Philadelphia market. Then you have the Jersey Shore, Atlantic City, Ocean City, Wall, and then of course you have Central Jersey, and right in the middle of all of it. Right. So yeah. So the Teamsters are up there, and there are other teams and some clubs that do have men's and adult programming. Like Bulldogs FC. There's FC Copa, which is plays in USL League Two in the Metropolitan Division. So there are some, and Jackson Lions is a huge one, right? They have a great men's program, and we actually try to emulate them for some of our adult amateur teams because they and FC Motown are the creme de la creme, and consistently making the U.S. Open Cup and continuing to grow in the community. So I would say if we compete with anyone, it would probably be Jackson Lions and FC Bulldogs and FC Copa, just because of where we are. But they're in our franchise area for the professional professional team. So I would hope that they might become feeders into our club. So if they have a player or two that is, projects to be professional, that they would send them to us, and then I'd hope that somehow or another we'd be able to help them with solidarity payments or something else. Like, it might not be a lot of money, but every $500,000 helps when you're running an amateur professional club, or amateur club, I should say adult amateur club in the country.
Nice. Leading towards the end here, how important is building out the women's side of soccer to you? How important is it to your whole team?
Well, when I brought up this idea to some of my friends in soccer, and I talked to my partner Ben about maybe getting involved with the club, his eyes lit up, and he said, "Are you going to have a women's program?" And I said, "If you want to run it," and he said, "Yes, absolutely." So I think the women's side of the club, it gets as much, if not more, attention than the men's side. So the player pool is a little bit different, and I think it's growing because on the men's side we have a lot of men who want to play professionally. Like, that's ultimately their goal. But there's still a lot of professional opportunities out there, even in the United States on the men's side. There's not as many on the women's side yet. As the USL Super League starts to grow, there's going to exponentially be hundreds, if not thousands, of more roster spots for players, and I think that more women will see that as a professional pathway. So when we play in the Women's Premier Soccer League and we think about our professional franchise, we that's so important, and the community definitely has embraced our women's team. In fact, our first and third best attended games the last 2 years since we've been in existence were on our women's side. Of course, our women did make the playoffs and won our division, so that's one reason for that. But nonetheless, we definitely have a lot of support for the women's team, and we get great players who are all born locally, right? So we have some really spectacular players that we want to be that we want to be a resource for as they continue their college careers.
Amazing. I love that. Is there any unique components to the project? We got NFTs now, reality TV shows, that we're seeing these different type of plays happening. Is there anything differently that you guys are doing part of your project, or are we keeping it simple, clean, and straight to the point?
Well, so we've been testing a lot of different things. So we actually did have a weekly live stream that we called Watch It Real, and we did that for about a year. We got some attention, but it wound up being a lot of work, and you have to pick where you're going to spend your time when you're an owner and trying to build the club. The big thing that I think, and this isn't unique to us, but I think the big thing for just about everyone is, especially as we're growing, it's really bringing in really passionate volunteers, because we have a couple. So I'm gonna call them out here. I'm gonna call out Jenica and Nikki and Sarah, because the three of them have been massive supporters and massive help to us. I mean, just things like checking in people at tryouts, right? Like them coming and doing that, them manning the ticket table and helping with merchandise and doing inventory. Like it's invaluable for people like that. And I think small clubs and amateur clubs in particular really can't exist without those kinds of volunteers. So we've decided, we're going to keep on working on volunteers, getting volunteer social media content person. So we're really going to make a push this spring to let everyone know who our players are this year, because I think, quite frankly, we didn't do a great job of that the first 2 years. So we want to make sure that, every player gets a 2-minute, YouTube or Instagram video that says, here's who we are, here's where I play, here's what I want to do, here's my goals in life. So that way the community can really get to know our players, because I think that engagement between fan and player can be so deep and emotional at this amateur level.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think, the people that you just spoke about, especially players, for example, I've been a player myself. I totally understand that we don't need it, for example, per se, because we're already doing it, but to get that extra boost, that extra appreciation, that extra promotion, it really helps. And not only that, tapping into their network and allowing them to share it to their network, it only it only benefits both sides. So I think all in all, it's great. What's been the hardest thing for you starting up this club?
time management is by far, right. So we all have day jobs and pretty big day jobs. Like I'm a I manage a global team in New York and Hong Kong as well as New York and Princeton. So managing my time and then managing my two partners' times. One is the CEO of a 600-person company. The other one owns his own marketing company, right? So for all of us, it's, how can we make sure that we maximize our time and that we're most efficient in the use of that time? So by far that's been it. But, again, as we've brought in some really passionate volunteers, we've been able to spread some of the workload around, and that's really been a big benefit the last year and a half.
Amazing. Last question on my side, and I'd love for you to share anything that you'd love to share. What advice would you give to me in my journey, tapping into the game, getting some skin in the game, and wanting to grow a big team, 100+ team hopefully in the future? But yeah,
I think it's being patient. That I have to tell myself that the fact that I've reached out to a whole bunch of potential investors the last couple of weeks and haven't heard back from any yet. Realize that Christmas was in there, New Year's was in there, and just knowing that it's a numbers game and that you have to find that it's just finding that one passionate person who shares in your passion and has complementary skills and or a complementary bank account to yourself. In our case, I think is the big thing. And so I think we just can't give up, right? So at the end of the day, these are passion projects. These are things that you have to say that you're giving back to the community in some either small or large way. And I think that you have to make sure that you're looking at whatever project you're involved in that way, that this is a benefit for the community, and it's huge. We have some really big sponsors like Capital Health, which is the local hospital group in our area that has a local trauma center, has a brand new hospital that's right on Interstate 295. Capital Health came in and they've been a great sponsor. They're our Jersey sponsor. They signed a multi-year deal. When we told them that we were looking to go pro, they instantly said, "Hey, we want to be involved. We want to be there. We know what you guys are doing. We think you've done a great job with your teams and players and your fan base, and they really want to help." So cultivating those types of deep roots with community organizations is just massive. And I think as we build out our ownership group, using them as a resource and using other people that we know as resources is just can be, I think, I'm hoping, can be very beneficial.
Absolutely. I know I said last question, but this is my last question. This is my last one. You mentioned sponsorships. Was it a long process to get the sponsor, or, was it someone that you already had an existing relationship and there was just a conversation and it just happened?
So it depends. I mean, we have a number of sponsors. Like we have some, really great sponsors like Route 1 Auto, which is a local car dealership where I get my car fixed, right? So of course I went in there and said, "Hey, I'm a customer. Would you help us out?" Told them our story, and they were willing to buy a sideline board and be one of our sponsors. And speaking to the Buxton Complex, which is a local storage facility and does gardening, and they have they sell play sets and gazebos and things like that too, right? So and they're also a community-based organization, so they were a no-brainer to go to them and say, "Hey, we're also a community organization. Would you be willing to help us and our players and the like?" And they get something out of it too, right? We had a great preseason event there last year where we had, unfortunately it rained, so we couldn't do the big cookout we were hoping to do, but we had people using their big green eggs, which is one of their kind of barbecue kind of things, and they made lunch for us, and it was great, right? We had players, we had fans. It was, you have 50 or 60 people there. It was really fun. So going to those local community organizations and community businesses that really can understand the power of being deeply ingrained in the community, I think was great. And yeah, some of it took time. Like, you don't go to a multi, tens of millions of dollars organization like a hospital group and do something with a handshake overnight, right? That takes a couple of meetings and calls, and, getting lawyers involved always takes some time, obviously. But it has turned into this wonderful relationship that we have with them. And, I'm trying to First Bank, local community bank is our banking sponsor. We have our bank account there, right? Like, so they've been great. They sponsor the first half by First Bank, right? And it's not a ton of money for them, I think, in their marketing budget, but it's huge for us, right? Because it winds up paying for the registration for all of our women's team, for example, and that's huge, right? So even though, again, it's not a ton of money to them, it's a lot of money to us.
Amazing. 2026 is coming down the pipeline. 3 years from now, what do you see that doing for U.S. soccer? And eventually, it's going to affect your club in a very positive way. So it's a huge wave coming up. What are your plans and thoughts?
Well, so I think one of the big selling points for our club and why an investor should think about getting involved early and getting involved now is twofold. And a big one is being in Central Jersey, we're right in between two venues for that 2026 World Cup, because there's going to be North Jersey and Philadelphia are both going to have games, and being right in the middle of it, where you don't have a lot of teams, they don't want to be housed right in the middle of New York City or right in the middle of Philadelphia, where their players are distracted, or their players decide to try to see the nightlife and don't train properly. So I think being in an area that's close enough, like an hour away from, like I said, both of those venues in Central Jersey, could be ideal. Plus, I do think that it's going to be there's going to be so much attention on soccer. You get these little boosts all the time, every World Cup, but when it's here, and you're probably not old enough to remember when you were growing up in Canada in 1994, but I can tell you, after 1994, the World Cup being here, all of a sudden you had a lot of casual sports fans became soccer fans. Maybe baseball and soccer, football and soccer, but you had a lot of casual sports fans become big soccer fans, and I think it's just going to be even more pronounced this time, because we already have momentum, right? So this is just going to push things forward. We have Major League Soccer, so you have most of the major metropolitan areas are already have soccer teams. USL Championship already has a lot of second-tier cities with soccer teams. What we're trying to do, and I think what a lot of other areas are trying to do, whether it's NISA or USL League One, is fill in those other gaps in between and allow local soccer teams to be there. And I think the World Cup is just going to start to fill stadiums, so those of us who are able to take advantage and start in 2025 and 2026 for playing professional soccer are just going to get more and more fans into the game, especially when you can support your local team that has local players and also is less expensive maybe than going up to a major metropolitan area.
Yeah, and the very unique thing with USL Championship and USL One is they're going into these communities and just growing a community around the beautiful game, and I think it's such an amazing thing. For both people getting involved on the investment side and people that are being a part of it through the community. It's a positive change. I'm very excited for you, for what you guys have, for what you guys are putting together, and I'm very excited for us as well. And USL is growing; they're already doing their thing. So I appreciate you taking the time and joining us on the podcast today.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That was awesome.
Cheers.